Good evening, Gary Ghetto, psychologist, psychotherapist. I'm here in my studio in Lausanne, Switzerland. It is Wednesday evening, the 14th of May, 2025. We're in the third week of our 10-week challenge, Change Your Life in 70 Days, in 10 weeks. And tonight I'm going to talk about some of the blockages that stop us from advancing in our lives. But before that, as usual, I'll just give you a slight update on how I am and what's going on in my life, just to share, a bit personal. So today's Wednesday. I have quite a short day. I don't usually work Wednesday afternoons because I have other things to do. This Wednesday I had to take the car to get the tires changed for the summer tires so that we can drive, go on holiday and things like that, and take the ski racks off the roof, which is sort of useful considering there's not been much snow this year and not much skiing. I think I went once this year. It seems to be a habit that I go skiing once a year, just once. It's very sad, but I presume that's the global warming thing like that. So I came back, and then I have a project for my terrace, is to replace the old pool table, ping pong table thing, which is huge and taking a lot of space, and I can't use it because the bed of the pool table is twisted. So when I sort of hit the ball, it goes in all different directions. Even worse, even when I don't actually use the cue and just roll it to see what happens, it just goes in all different spaces. So it's totally useless. So I decided that I needed to replace it. And to do that, because it's huge and I didn't know how to move it, I just destroyed it. So I didn't go to the gym today. I spent an hour destroying this object. So that's been my day so far. So that's okay. So failure. Why do we fail? Why do we keep failing? Why do we have failure in repetition? Well, there's a few reasons for that. And I want to talk about something that starts off. I tend to do this windy road sort of talking about things, and I come back to the point at some point. So bear with me. So some time ago, and it was some time ago because it doesn't exist anymore. I used to very, very often have awful tension and pain here on my shoulders. I used to carry a lot of stress and pain on my shoulders. And one of the huge benefits of going to the gym on a very regular basis, I have one of the exercises that I like a lot is a sort of like a rowing motion. It's one of these machines with these weights, and you pull like this, and you push and pull like that. And it has helped really, really release the strain on the back of my back. So I'm not having a migraine headaches and tension headaches like I've had, and this huge muscle ache on my shoulders. However, this was before I started the 70-day challenge. I was going to work, and I took a path which was slightly unusual for me. I don't know why I took that path, but it meant I had to cross the road. Well, I didn't have to, but I chose to cross the road in a place where there wasn't a pedestrian crossing, which you can do in Switzerland. It's legal. You can do it in England. I know you can't do it in America. If you're there, you get arrested for jaywalking. Sorry for you guys like that. But I was starting to cross the road, and I noticed on the corner of my eye a car that was coming towards me, and I took a step back, and that was normal. But what was interesting, but not very pleasant, was that I felt my whole body tense up. And not only did it tense up and my shoulders became very painful, but it didn't pass. And it stayed very tense and very painful all the way to work. I don't remember if after getting work it started to slow down or something like that. But it got me thinking. I thought, what is the mechanism here? So the first thing I noticed was the mechanism of survival. I was crossing the road. I saw a car, a mechanism, warning, danger, go into survival mode, adrenaline, all the energy that comes up, fight or flight, everything comes up. So I take a step back. It's not a huge thing. And the car passes. Now, what I would imagine normally is the moment that the danger has passed, then a signal goes back to the body, and all those bits of adrenaline and then cortisone and the heart beating and the lungs going faster relaxes. What has happened with me was that because I was already tense, that extra tension on the top blocked. And it blocked and it was painful. And it stayed that way. And it's got me thinking that I was talking to a patient, I think it was yesterday. I never know. Yesterday. But yesterday, I saw a lot of patients. So it could have been yesterday. And I was noticing that there was things happening in her life that were the reactions were out of proportion to the situation. And I thought, this is odd. Why is it that she is so sensitive to these sort of situations, but not to other things? So she's not hypersensitive to everything, but certain situations sensitive to. And then it reminded me of this situation with walking to work. And I then realized that if you have an underlying level of tension, of stress, of anguish, of fear, of helplessness, whatever it is, if you have an underlying experience of that, which is active, it might not be high enough to be noticeable in the moment. But if it's active and then something else comes, which is on the same register, on the same type of problem, that then takes whatever's there and adds to it, it can then at that moment become very problematical and painful and block for quite a long time. And sometimes people fail because there is something in the project that they're doing that puts them in a situation where they've had past problems, past, I wouldn't say trauma because it's a bit strong, but past negative experiences that are reawoken. That's right, in English, reawoken. Well done, me. Reawoken because of that situation. So one of the things that I ask you, if you find yourself more than once, because anything can happen once, maybe even twice, but once it gets to 3 times, it's really something that's repeating itself. If you have a type of project or types of projects and they keep failing for basically the same type of reason, it's never exactly the same, but if you look at it, maybe you'll find there is a pattern there. Then it's worth to look at that pattern and see what is it that's being awoken by this situation that makes me fail. So that's the first general thing. Now, a lot of what I'm going to talk about next fits into that. They can be basically it's things from the past. There are a few things in the present and the future, but basically it's things from the past or things in the future that relate to the past that are important to think about and to reflect upon. So the first thing is what I call family loyalties. But family loyalties is actually something that can go quite wide. It could also be friends. It could be also people from your past that you had a certain relationship with. And sometimes to advance in our lives, we have to let go of certain norms, certain values, certain ways of doing things. For instance, if you have a family that's very working class, that's used to working with the hands and, I don't know, miners or mill workers or lumberjacks or whatever, people that their job is physical. If you suddenly become someone in an office, in administration, and you start working with your hands and you start working with your brain, and even if it's in the same town, in the same industry, but instead of being somebody that's actually a worker, you become an under manager or administrator or something like that, that could actually go against your family values. It's very strange. If you've got your friends that are working physically, and you sort of move up onto something slightly different. And that could also go against them. And I'll move on to that in a moment. So what's the other thing there? Oh, yes, not being good enough. That's one of the killers. That's one of the most awful thing that we can have. Um, and no, I want to go back. I just remembered something that I said in the French version, and that I want to talk about because I found it to be quite amusing. There was a film I think it was in the 90s, and I think it was called Billy Elliot. And it was about a boy that was from a working class town with working class parents who wanted to be a dancer. And he had very little support to begin with, anyway. People made fun of him, people laughed at him, nobody understood him. And it was very difficult because what he wanted to do was not at all normal for the way that those people worked and whether they thought. And like, dancing, it's, for sissies, it's not what we want our son to be doing or we want our mate to be doing. And he had a lot of problems to free himself from the limitations of his family and his friends. So that's exactly the sort of thing of going against the norms and if you like, a form of loyalty. There was also a film I seem to remember about a poet or a singer from Wales, and he's from a Welsh mining town. I don't remember much about it, but I don't think to remember sort of when I talk, things, ideas come to mind or memories come to mind, and so we have that. So not good enough. So sometimes we have messages from our parents, from the people around us, of who we are, what we're capable of, what we should be. And we're sort of molded into that. Now, even being molded into that, sometimes we have the abilities, like this dancer, we have the abilities to be different, to be more, to be successful. And what is important is that, of course, everything is multifactorial, and the inside of a person is like a committee. There is parts to say this and parts to say that. But what is really important is that at some point, hopefully, there'll be part of you that says, I can do this. I can be this person. I can move on. I can move away. I can do that. And the part that says you're rubbish, you're nothing, you're going to fail, hopefully, is less important. However, it exists, and exists in many of us. A part of us that doesn't believe in ourselves because other people did not believe in us for some reason when we were younger. And what is problematical and often creates failure is that once we're in a movement, someone says, oh, we can do this, and we try and we start and things like that. And unfortunately, when we have these dips in energy, or we have a blockage or a mini failure or something like that, what happens is that the part of us that says, I can do it, it sort of loses energy. And unfortunately, the part that says, I can't do it, I'm a failure, give it up, it's a waste of time, takes more and more space. And maybe you also have a bit of that when you're on track to do something and you're in the middle of doing something and life becomes a little bit more difficult, that naysayer, that negativity takes over, and basically it wrecks it for you. Either you give up or you disinvest so much that it fails. And this is, again, something that can happen in repetition, that can keep going on and keep happening. And it's something really to watch out for, and something that you need to say, well, okay, if I have this sort of problem that I lose confidence in myself, it's very important that the next time you start something, or if you're doing something, you find people that believe in you. Now, I believe in you because you're here with me. And I believe in the people that I can support, because if I can support you, if I can give you my positivity, my optimism, my energy, my joie de vivre, joy of life, if I can pass some of that on to you, that will help you get over sometimes these problems. But if you can find other, like real people, I'm only virtual, do I really exist? that people like that, people that are there for you, some good friends or other people that will support you, even in moments when you sort of lose confidence in yourself. It's really, really important. That's really something that will bode you well and will help you succeed in your projects if that is your problem. Looking here. So the next thing is the obvious one, is the fear of failure. Now, everyone has a fear of failure. And if you don't, there's a problem. Because if you don't have a fear of failure, you can get in the most awful messes. People that are unreasonably optimistic, they end up with huge problems. And for instance, I know this is not really anything to do with it, but there was a study in America of the people that died in motor car accidents, and a lot of them were killed themselves because they were over optimistic. They thought they could pass someone and get inside, and they failed. And it seems to be a really bad habit, and it's the people that are too optimistic. So being too optimistic, that's just one sort of extreme example. Being too optimistic is not good. But the fear of failure, it should help you say, okay, what are the risks? How can I minimize the risks? Is it worth the risk? But at the end of the day, if you don't risk, if you risk nothing, you gain nothing. And I keep saying this all the time because it's just such a fundamental truth, is that you need to face the possibility of failure. And failure is not always the end of the story. There's so many people that have said, I've built a bridge on the bricks of my failures. And there's so many stories of so many people that have failed and failed and failed and failed and keep going and keep going and keep going, and eventually are the most wonderful, successful people. I just watched a YouTube video of what's her name? Christmas? I forgot her first name now. A singer in I think Britain's Got Talent. And she did all sort of training in theatre and in singing, and got small parts. And then it just stopped. It just stopped. And eventually she got on Britain's Got Talent. But she was working front of house in a gym. She just wasn't making any money being a singer. And everybody loved her at Britain's Got Talent, and she became a super success. And yet she had failed, and yet she carried on again, and she tried again. So don't allow the fear of failure to be the reason that you don't do things. In this whole YouTube adventure, which I started, I think, last year, my successes have been very, very mediocre. I would even say that if you want to look at it globally, that this is a failure. But it doesn't matter, because I'm optimistic that through these failures, from the ashes of destruction come the roses of success. That's from Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. I don't know if you know that film. That you just keep going. And you keep going and you keep going. And yes, there are certain failures that are difficult to pick yourself up from. And other failures my father, he went bankrupt 5 times. And even at the end, before he died, he was still doing businesses, even when he was like blind. He was still succeeding to do things. Is that it didn't stop him. And my eternal optimism is based on the fact is that one failure is not the end of your life. It's not the end of the world. Just keep going and see what else you can build. And he failed, and he built empires. And his main failure was bad partners, or he didn't deal with them very well. But as far as his ability to create and recreate and to build up with broken tools and start again, we can all do that. And it makes life interesting. If you don't try, even if you don't try and you don't fail, it's like boring. Come on now, go for it. Try. I mean, you're here, so that's already very positive. And then the last one that I want to talk about, which is really a linked to a lot of the other things I've talked about before, is the fear of success. Because with success comes changes. Success brings its own changes. There's its own loss. Every time you succeed in something, you lose something. It's just the way of it. You have something in your hand, you want something better, you have to let go of what's in your hand to get something better. So I talked about maybe somebody that in a working class household goes into an office and there is a sort of like a feeling of lack of support or a respect for working with your hands. But what happens when someone carries on with their education and gets a training to be better, to be different, to go to higher education or to go to higher and higher in a profession? Well, they can leave their family and their friends behind. I mean, when I came to Switzerland, I didn't come to Switzerland to train or to be better in my profession. I came to Switzerland for a woman, and I was 38, and I started university again, and it took me 10 years. So from 38 to 48, it took me that long to become a psychologist, then to become a psychotherapist. So it took me 10 years of study and work and further study and lots of other things. And what it has done is that it's taken me so far away. I mean, England is not that far to go and see my mother, but other members of the family are quite far away. But it's took me much further away on an educational level, on a professional level, and on a financial level. And I'm different. I'm not in the same world anymore. I don't have the same sort of concerns. And although I'm interested to talk about people's lives, and especially the lives of my friends and family, I'm not in their world anymore. And sometimes success takes you out of the worlds that you know, that you feel comfortable, and you're pressured or forced or invited into different universes. And in those universes, there are losses. And there's discomfort. I mean, for instance, I earn a fortune compared to the rest of my family. And I've had to say to myself, well, first of all, I deserve it for all the sacrifices I made. Also, the fact that I live in an incredibly expensive part of the world. So even though the money that I earn is much, much more than everybody else's at the end of the month, I don't have much left. But I do have a quality of life that maybe they don't have. And I can't sort of create that quality of life for them because, as I say, I need to live the life that I've chosen here, and that my family here are living, and I need to support them in that. But sometimes that can be uncomfortable. So there are so many things that we have in our lives that say, okay, I want this. It is good for me. I should go forward. But what am I losing? What am I giving up? What past things are coming up every time I try to succeed or go forward? And I, as a therapist, I often say, is there a pattern? Is there something that repeats itself? Is there something that you're doing now that reminds you of what your parents did or what happened in the past, or things of that type? Well, we can go over and beyond. We do not need to repeat the errors of the past of our parents. We don't need to be limited by whatever lifestyle or situation our parents or our friends had. And we don't have to be limited either by where we are now. Because if now, for instance, I had a patient, and him and his girlfriend, and they used to drink every night, and in weekends they used to drink enormous quantities. And he came to me and he said, my life is not working as it should, and I feel bad about myself, and I'm unwell, and I'm basically depressed. And I said, well, maybe one of the things that you need to do is to cut down on the drinking. He says, but that's what my girlfriend and I do a lot of. I said, well, you need to make a choice. I mean, I'm not saying to leave your girlfriend, but if you stay drinking with her on this regular basis, maybe that's the bit that's stopping you from being better. And he made that choice, and he reduced his drinking more and more and more, much to the distress of his girlfriend, because at the end of the day, getting drunk together was the thing that sort of kept the relationship as it was. And we had to do quite a lot of work to try and bring his girlfriend on board with him and to keep the relationship. And eventually it started to get better, but he had to sort of lead. And that leading was very stressful for him, very distressing. And the fact is that he was scared that he would lose his girlfriend, he'd lose his relationship if he improved the quality of his life. It's weird, isn't it? Eventually, he stopped drinking and almost totally drank a bit of an evening with a meal and things like that, but totally reasonable, especially in Switzerland. A glass of wine with a meal in many parts of Switzerland is absolutely standard. And he would go for a drink with his friends from time to time the weekend, but he would stop drinking as much. He'd stop drinking all night and being drunk in the morning. And what actually he found out was that he enjoyed waking up in the morning without a hangover and without, mouth dry or anything. And he realized that the quality of his life had improved, but he took a huge risk. He took the risk to lose his girlfriend, his relationship. He took a risk to lose the relationship with his friends because his friends did a lot of drinking. And he took that risk. And at the end of the day, fortunately, we were able to hold on to the relationship with his girlfriend. Some of his friends were not interested in him not being a drinking partner, so they just left him. And other ones, they sort of he dragged them out a bit from that drinking world, and they started to do things on the weekend, like sport. And he used to play football, then he got back into playing football, and he started to get fit again, and he lost his beer belly, and it was wonderful, but it was so painful because he had to risk the change, risk losing. So if you are having problems going forward, have a look and see what you're risking to lose, and say, is it worth? I mean, maybe it's not worth. Maybe you think, okay, I'll stay as I was because what I might lose is too important to me. No one's forcing you. But if what you could do with, what you need to change, it can be worth. It can be worth to deal with that. And dealing with that is so important. So that's the message for tonight. Well, I believe in you. I'm optimistic for me. I'm optimistic for you. And I'm sure it's going to work. So please, obviously, like, subscribe, share with your friends. Remember, it is free, 100% free. I'm here 6 nights a week for my sins to be with you. So, make benefit of it. Get your friends to benefit from it. You can only do them, I hope, you can only do them good. Get them to join the challenge. Get them to change the quality of their lives, improve the quality of their lives. As I say, I'm here 6 times a week. I'm here Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday evenings at 8:30 at night, CEST, Central European Summer Time. I'm here at 4:30 in the afternoon on Saturday. Friday is my day off, my night off. So just not stressed. Let's talk to you and find someone to talk about. I remind you that in the summer, I'm going to start doing individual video sessions with people. If you know anybody that might benefit from having a 1 hour or 2 1-hour sessions with me that are open to share it on the internet, let them know, let me know, and we'll see if we can organize it in the summer to do some recordings. So I think that's about it for tonight. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your presence. And maybe tomorrow's Thursday. Yes. See you tomorrow. Bye for now.